Woo! Last week, I decided to do what nobody else does and kill the nostalgia that you have in your hearts. This week, we're gonna do it all over again. Last time, it was 90s cartoons. This time, I'm gonna tackle on the one thing that I love the most, and that's Pokemon. Yes, I know it doesn't sound as dramatic as the other cartoons, but stay with me. Every time a new generation of Pokemon comes out, the people who played the original Pokemon, the first generation, or as the community calls it, the Gen 1ers, they believe that the first generation of Pokemon are the best, the most well-designed. They're the ones that look more like actual animals than anything else, feeding our 10-year-old brains the bullshit that maybe one day Pokemon can be real. No, I'm here to tell you, with every generation, you get shit. And in the first one, there is no exception. The first generation had a bunch of bullshit that I know that you can't even answer for. So I'm going to do every generation, and in this video, we're going to tackle the first one, the most important one, the Kanto region, or the ones in red, blue, and yellow. Now, I have no problem with most of the Pokemon on this list, not because they're nostalgic or they do resemble some sort of animal. Let's start from the top. Our first contender, the Nidoran family. Nidoran boy, Nidoran girl, Nidorino, Nidorina, Nidoking, and Nidoqueen. I would like for somebody to explain to me what exactly are these animals. Now, you can make an argument that the Nidorans are both a form of a rodent. Fine, I get that. But Nidorino and Nidorina are just the same rodents grown up. What about Nidoking and Nidoqueen? Nidoking looks like Barney who's gone on a murderous rampage of growing horns out of his head. And Nidoqueen, explain to me the artistic reasoning for having tits on a Pokemon. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's weird. Are we supposed to be attracted? This is how furries came to be. Now, my favorite Pokemon of all time has to be Bulbasaur. So with Bulbasaur, I can understand that Bulbasaur is some form of dinosaur. That makes sense to me. So explain the fuck out of Oddish. What the fuck is this shit supposed to be? A bulb, a turnip, and then it evolves into a sad version of itself. It's depressed. It listens to XXXTentacion and talks about how nobody understands her life anymore. These aren't things. Speaking of the flora and the fauna of the Pokemon world, let's talk about Paris for a second. No, I don't mean the fucking city in France. I mean the Pokemon with the 2 mushrooms on its back. It's some form of crab, insect, cockroach. I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be, but it has 2 giant mushrooms. And then when it evolves to Parasect, those mushrooms come over its body and absorbs it and takes over its brain like some sort of fucking zombie. It's based on an actual insect that takes over the host's body and it becomes a zombie, and it's called the Cordyceps, and it's the main reason why the world ends in The Last of Us. Alright, you got that. To everybody's favorite secret bodybuilder, Diglett and Doug Trio. They're moles. I got that. In any Pokedex entry, in any form of the anime, or in the movies, or the games, it doesn't necessarily describe what's underneath it, what's its full body, because what we see isn't the only part of its body. What the fuck is supposed to be there? What is this? This is one of the most bullshit ones that I can never believe. So explain to me how Geodude, a fucking boulder, becomes a Pokemon. So I'm supposed to believe that in this world of magical creatures, of dragons, and horses that are on fire, and weird looking kangaroos, that there is a goddamn boulder out there? A rock. That's a Pokemon? And you complain about Litwick, a candle, or a fucking ice cream cone, and you don't complain about a rock? It's a fucking rock. And then it evolves to a rock with 4 arms and 2 legs, and then a bigger boulder? Get the fuck out of here with your bullshit. Inanimate objects are such a normal thing in this fucking generation. What's a Voltorb? It's just an orb, an electrical orb. It could be an anal bead for all we know. Lastly, the one that has my biggest problem, Execute. Oh, what, you got a problem about a couple eggs? Execute are eggs. Think about that for a second. They're eggs. Telepathic eggs. What the fuck? And each egg has its own individual personality. The worst part about Execute, it's its evolution. Executor. A palm tree. You mean to tell me that 6 eggs can evolve into a palm tree? That's where I draw the line. I hope with this week's episode, I crushed your inability to love Pokemon just a little bit more. Now, if you enjoyed this video, click down below for my previous video on 90s cartoons. Right in the windows over there are my social media. Feel free to check them out. I'll provide the links below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And as always, keep bumping, because the next bump will be me in the night, slowly murdering your kids.